Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The CDC and FDA just released a joint statement that is calling for a pause, an immediate pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose coronavirus vaccine. This is after 6 recipients in the United States developed a rare disorder involving blood clots within about 2 weeks of the vaccination. These adverse side effects are rare blood clotting in 6 women ages 18 to 48 out of 6.8 million doses administered.
Yeah, that's not a lot, but you're cautious. That's what we do nowadays. We're cautious. And in a day and age where you're trying to get people to take the vaccine in hopes that you can stem the tide, right? In hopes that you could stem the tide of this nasty virus that has come from a far away place. Chad, don't say China. China. You're hoping to stem the tide. Almost 7 million people have taken it. 6 issues. You look into it. I was talking to producer Anthony before the show. We get together. We do our little show meeting right before the show. That's a show meeting. And, we're talking about like 7 million people have gotten this thing. 6 people have had some sort of a few people have had some adverse reactions. And there's 6 women right here that have had the blood clots. You saw the blood clots with AstraZeneca too. But when you see how many people have taken the shot comparatively to the adverse reactions, is it something that might have happened anyway? It's possible. Is it something that is developing inside of everybody because of this? Again, those things are always, anything is possible. But the reality is it's probably just a hiccup. You take a little step back and you look. Johnson & Johnson will still be available as far as we know. This is from the federal sites. This isn't from the sites where you're going to like a Walgreens or CVS, your local pharmacy. They're asking people to pause it. But that'll be up to the people at Walgreens and all these other places. Is it rare? Yes. The end of all of this, you're going to have adverse reactions. You're going to have people that have had issues because some people may not know that they may be susceptible to something inside of there because they're going to get a vaccine. Sad but true. It's rare. Is this cause for panic? No, it's not.
It's a very rare event. I mean, you're talking about 1 per million. And when you give millions of those vaccines, you will see events like this that you couldn't see in the clinical trial just because, you didn't have millions of people enrolled. So it probably is related. It's rare. But I want to congratulate the CDC and the FDA for very quickly jumping on it, halting the vaccinations until we know more, and really trying to understand what's going on. I think vaccine safety has always been a priority.
Of course it is. Because you've got people out there that are going already today, I told you. And you've got people that are hesitant. I told you. This was going to, I told you this was going to happen. I told you guys, if you got this is what's going to happen. You get that new stuff, that mRNA stuff. You don't know what you could grow a third eye or a tail. Be honest, if I grew a tail, does it come with any powers? Right? Like, it's just growing a tail. It didn't really come with any powers. But if you get powers, well, it's a little different story, right? If you told everybody, hey, you guys get this shot, you get taller, people rush out and get it. Right? If you feel you're too tall, hey, you know what? You'll shrink to the size you've always wanted to be. Like, really? People go and do it. Throw some vanity in there. These things are to be expected. Is there a larger thing at play? 6 women. Is this something where they would recommend, hey, men should get this shot, not women? They're going to look at all of those things. They will. But 6 million, almost 7 million shots, 6 situations like this, you look at it, but I doubt this is going to be paused for very long. But it does give people pause for thought, especially in a day and age where we're knee-jerk reaction. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Overnight, it was not awesome in Minneapolis. There was protest. There was some angry people. Hell, they even went after CNN.
You want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to me? Okay, cool. No, don't take my mic, but we're cool. Okay. What's your name?
What's my name? My name is my name.
So tell me what you think about what's going on here.
What I think about this is all the press makes this worse.
You think so?
Yes. When people want to protest, they shouldn't do it in police to like that. You get what the I'm saying?
I want you to be careful. I really do. Of anything that can hit you. Of anything that can hit you. Look at all the stuff. Of this.
Do it look like I'm scared?
You don't. You don't.
Exactly. Y'all need to get up out of here with all that twisting up the media ass
That guy, he was telling it like it is. It's enjoyable. But it was a night of unrest. It was a night of anger. You had, of course, the trial, the Chauvin trial that's going on, the killing of George Floyd. On top of that, you've got the shooting of Duane Wright that took place the other day. And now we're finding out more and more. And yesterday, what did I say? I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction because too many people are running out there. And they're either doing, they're doing what people do nowadays. I'm going to make a biased assumption of something. I'm not going to be real about it because I'm going to pick a side, and it can be either he's done something wrong and he got what he deserved, or it's a cop killing a black man because that's all cops do. As they start to go through the video camera footage that from the police officers, which you are seeing now, it appears that it was an accident. That's what it appears to be. And by the way, the police officer was a woman. Oh.
This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
Yeah. Looks like she was reaching for her taser, talking about taser, taser, taser. And then grabbing the gun instead of the taser. You hear it. Taser, taser, taser. I'm going to tase you. Then taser, taser, taser. And then holy blank, I shot him. I don't know what else to say. You know, we're going to dig into the past of the police officer. We're going to dig into, you know, he was wanted on, he got pulled over. First it was air freshener. Then he had expired tags. And by the way, I got pulled over expired tags 2 weeks ago. They weren't expired. I just have a P.O. box and I rarely go to it. So I didn't have the little sticker. And, but I got pulled over but I got pulled over by a highway patrol person essentially, on a regular street. Said, you know, where's your, you know, took it and pulled me out of the car and stuff. And then it's like, oh, you've already got it. You paid for it. I said, yeah. I said, I don't go to my P.O. box, and I probably should, but I don't as much because I don't have time. And he's like, no, that's okay. And so, but I got pulled over for that. He started to run. Am I going to, we need to get to a point where, in particular, black males, the fear that goes through them, which when you see the media and you hear everything, it's totally understandable. I understand that. But at the same time, the running, it was a misdemeanor warrant. You know, if you're going, like we were talking about this yesterday, why would you run? If you're going down, it's a third strike and you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. Could I see how somebody would say, well, you know what? I'm going to try to do everything I can to get away from here. I could understand why somebody in their mind would do something like that. We're going to dig into his past, which is what we do, and the you know, we're going to dig into her past. How, you know, is she a horrific cop? Is she a great cop? She could have been a cop. She could be a veteran of 20 years. But over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, 50 things are going to come out. There's going to be another. I'm sure there's somebody else with a video footage that we haven't seen yet. So there's all of this stuff. Right now, it appears to be a horrible mistake. But it doesn't change the fact that a man was shot and killed. It doesn't change the fact that she's going to have to live with it. It doesn't change the fact that he tried to run. But looking for blame where sometimes it's not about race, sometimes it's not about whether or not the officer is evil and bad or he was a criminal or not a criminal. Sometimes the perfect storm comes and it is an accident that if everybody could go back, which we can't, everyone would change. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I got more funny stuff when it comes to MSNBC and CNN. That is, it's basically just, it's great. It's great. It is. It is absolutely hilarious. Plus, yesterday there was a shooting at Tennessee. And I like to do this, guys. I keep it absolutely 110% real with you. And most won't. I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit on the world that we live in nowadays. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Plus, interesting story of the BLM co-founder and her rise to real estate mogul. It's very, very interesting indeed. Let's talk about Raycon. Best earbuds around. Absolutely love my Raycons. So I play golf. You guys know that every day. And I don't think you guys realize I play, I work out hard besides just playing golf. Lots of working out. And I love my Raycons, but I also like to relax. And that's why I love my Raycons as well. Whether I'm chilling and I'm listening to, a podcast, which I love to do, especially, like nerdy scientific stuff, and I also like to listen to just sometimes relax. I'll be honest. And because it's noise isolating, just have them in my ears and it's peace and quiet. It's incredible. No stems, no wires. When I talk about I play golf, let me tell you something. Running is one thing. Doing a lot of different things is one thing. But when I go out and play golf, I swing pretty hard. I swing extremely hard at times. And they never fall out of my ears. They're comfortable, noise isolating fit, the sound quality, 6 hours of talk time, no stems, no wires, and the price point that starts well under $100. This is amazing. Get your Raycons today. Best earbuds around. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. When you do that, you can save an extra 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad to save an extra 15%. Chad Benson Show.
Are you trying to kill me? What happens if you have corona?
No need to socially distance while listening to your Chad Benson Show podcast. 4 out of 5 experts say so.
I'm a scientist. There is no corona.
But hurry before they change their mind. You know they will. Chad's podcast found on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite COVID-free podcasts.
Oh my gosh. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
We need more intervention by school officials. The kids cannot solve this themselves.
Parent from yesterday, shooting, Tennessee. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to explain stuff to you guys, how I like to give a snapshot. I don't hide anything from you guys. I'm straight up as real. Know a lot of other people out there. They play this game of magic and, oh, yeah, you don't know this and you don't know that. Let me tell you, let's peer behind the curtain. And I can guarantee you this went on with every single news outlet. How many kids are dead? What kind of gun was used? Was it a mass shooting or was it a pissed off kid because his girlfriend broke up with him? Okay. Is there an angle here? So this is the way people come at this. It's the way people come at things like this. And the same thing goes on with police shootings and with everything else. And we were talking about this yesterday, that you don't, what kind of shooting was it? Right? Like, was it a mass shooting? Or was this a situation where somebody was pissed off and angry over something that took place in the world of social media, and then he went to school and somebody else did something to him? Was this a gang situation? Those are the questions. because kind of what it's about anymore. It is. And the gun plays a big part, too. If there's nothing, it's like, if 2 shootings go on today, right, and somebody has an AR-15 and they kill 2 or 3 and they shoot 5 or 6, be all over the news. Somebody with a shotgun and a handgun could kill several, and it won't because there's not something there for the media to grab a hold of. Yesterday, it was something similar. I'm watching it, and it's like, well, this isn't, as far as the news cycle side of things, it doesn't rise to the level of breaking away from the Derek Chauvin case. It doesn't rise to the level of breaking away from some of the other stuff that's going on. So they just kind of kept it right there. Just a peer behind the window of what takes place in this world and how people make snap judgments. Like the whole, like Matt Gaetz, and we're going to get into Matt Gaetz and Hunter Biden a little bit later, but there's a lot more to the story that's not actually about the story. It's about the fact that you didn't get to hear the story. And it shows you the way that things go when it comes to the media. I always say it's a lot of times the things that are really important for the average person are things you don't hear. And those things you need to hear. But if it doesn't sell and you're not going to get the eyeballs, then people aren't going to run with stories like that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program as well. 15% of Americans are worse off a year into the pandemic. Not a shocker. Overall, 55% of Americans say their financial circumstances are about the same they were a year ago. We first really got into this. But 38 million Americans say they're worse off now than when the outbreak began. And I'll be honest, I think that's interesting. I thought that number would be much higher. We'll touch a little bit more on this and how it breaks down according to income and things of that nature. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I believe the J&J vaccine is exceedingly safe. These are very rare events, but we don't know if they're linked to the vaccine, and we don't know if there are other cases out there that we've missed.
Dr. Jean talking about the J&J, that's Johnson & Johnson. For those of you not keeping score, they've asked to pause, said Johnson & Johnson right now, and the reason is blood clots. AstraZeneca, sound familiar? 6 of them that they are looking at. One person has died. You take a look, right? Your whole goal is we're going to try to make everything as safe as possible. Right? That's why you have the FDA. And remember, our FDA is the gold standard for the globe. Our FDA is the gold standard. So you get through us, pretty much anybody's going to green light you worldwide. Then it's up to pricing and negotiations, things from there. But we're kind of the rubber stamp of things. So this isn't – now they're asking for a pause. Asking doesn't mean ordering, because states will be able to do what they have to do with their I guess they've been distributed. I don't know how many are out there because there was that big mass. Remember Maryland last week, and the week before, 15 million were destroyed, and they were already having some issues with that. And then there was a few other issues, and they were already saying that they're not going to be able to hit the goals that they'd set, and a good portion of that's because of that. So if they've been distributed already in certain states, a lot of places that have them, like here in Arizona, most of the places that are giving out Johnson & Johnson are Walgreens, CVS, pharmacies. So with said pharmacies, they're not being told they have to. But this is one of those things where you take a pause as far as some people are looking at this thing because it's about safety, and you're already living in a world where fake news and people are going, I told you so. You better watch out because now that you got that in you, you're screwed. Settle down.
My sense is they're going to unpause, but they may not, or they may make it, more for certain types of people over others. We'll have to see. But this is, we want to make a data-driven decision, and this is how you do it.
Yeah, data-driven decision. 7 million shots, right? So 7 million shots almost. 6 people with blood clots and women. And what he said, they may change it, meaning they may say, look, this thing's perfect for men. Nothing wrong with men. Nothing wrong for, a younger generation, older generation, men, whatever. Maybe it's fine for, they're going to go through all of the data. And look, and this may be nothing. This may be just a coincidence, and 7 million shots. This is what you've got. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. But when you hear it, what that does is it makes people nervous. Nervous because they're looking around thinking, is this another situation where things are going to go south? Is this another situation where we're going to be, we're going to have to pause everything, and because we have to pause everything, things are going to go south, and oh my goodness, they're going to start closing everything again, and look what's going on in Michigan. First of all, let's talk about Michigan just a quick sec. When this thing first started, we, being of the Sound Mind, Chad Benson radio program, we said that this thing is eventually going to be endemic, not pandemic, meaning it's not going anywhere. It looks to be, and even if it was seasonal, it was still going to be here. All right, so endemic, not pandemic. And because of that, I kept saying, we're going to have to learn to live with this thing, through this thing, and around this thing, and above this thing. It's not going anywhere. Like, the Spanish flu didn't disappear because of your mother and father, your grandmother and grandfather, your great-grandmother and great-grandfather. You've got antibodies that fight a lot of these things because our bodies change and we get passed down certain things. It's genes, it's genetics, the whole 9 yards. This isn't going to go anywhere, and we're never going to get there on vaccines alone, because you can see how perilous that can be. Just look at the Johnson & Johnson pause right now. Not that I think that we're not going to pick it back up. But what Michigan did was they were pretty much locked down. If you go and look at, like, the cases of Michigan, right? So, Michigan is a perfect example of the cases are surging there. But when you look at their numbers, man, they were so much smaller comparatively to a lot of other states. And you're like, oh, yeah, they were. 830,000, 18,000 deaths, right? Go to a place and, you look at Michigan. It's not like Michigan's the biggest state in the world, but it's not small by any means compared to other states. They've got 10 million people. Arizona, on the other hand, we have about 7 million people. And we have had issues with the coronavirus when you look at the numbers. We have. And part of that is the fact that we didn't really slow down. We didn't shut down. Right? We have as many deaths and more cases in a state that is smaller by far. Exposure. Part of getting to herd immunity is the fact that the herd is going to have to be exposed to it and catch it. That's part of herd immunity. If we're trying to vaccinate ourselves out of this, it's going to take a very, very long time. And because, a lot of people got mad at Sweden. Remember Sweden? Oh, Sweden's not really shutting down. They're not changing too much. They're just going to live their lives. But Sweden said, we feel that everybody is going to be at the same place we are. We're just not going to destroy our world to get there. Because hiding from the monster doesn't mean the monster's not still lurking outside. And already now they're talking about doing what in Michigan? Shutting things down.
The answer to that is to really close things down, to go back to our basics, to go back to where we were last spring, last summer, and to shut things down.
Dr. Walensky, CDC, shut it down? Well, politically, that's probably not going to have any real weight behind it, because Gretchen Whitmire is even getting criticism from the left saying, all right, we've been doing this for well over a year now, and we're going to have to get on with our lives.
Dropping our guard, moving around, that's what's going to contribute to putting ourselves in jeopardy, so don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, whatever it is.
We've got to grit our teeth and keep moving forward. We're making great progress. We are getting close.
You're going to have to learn at times to push forward. It's not going anywhere. The vaccines are going to help. They're going to mitigate this. When you look at how many people are testing positive, and part of that is the fact that we're just not testing anymore. We've turned the places that we were once testing into vaccine sites. But we're vaccinating the hell out of people, and that's the thing that matters. We'll get towards herd immunity, but a good portion of that is going to be through infection. People don't want to admit that, but if we were to stay indoors until everybody got vaccinated, we'd be indoors for a long time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Of course, still talking about what took place. Dante Wright being shot a few miles away from where George Floyd was killed. Protest overnight. Even CNN and the MSNBCs of the world were confronted by angry protesters. Interesting.
Talk about something that's real.
Tell me what's real.
Y'all just gonna edit out the shot.
We're live.
And then y'all gonna edit out some other shit.
We're live right now.
You're not live.
I'm live right now.
I don't care if you live or not.
Okay, but
get away from here with all that media that y'all doing.
Right now.
Look.
We're with CNN.
Then take that camera all the way the up there.
We are going up there.
Take it all the way the up there.
Us.
Y'all doing all the extra for the backhand to make people look all crazier than what the they are.
Translation, you guys are here to report the news, but realistically, you're here to make us all look like we're bad. That's why you guys are here. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. You're here because you're here to focus on the fact that people are burning and rioting and looting, and you never come here during other times. You only come here when there's an issue like this, and it makes us look bad.
They started firing tear gas. The crowd is now dispersing, but they're not going home, Rachel. They're still here in the streets. They're still here. They're still here. Okay, easy. Come on, easy.
I'm gonna go, but report all day, NBC.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Hey. Okay.
Live TV is great. I don't care if you live. And then you've got the Chauvin trial, which we're days away, I think, from closing this thing down. And, with the prosecution, I think, has said their piece. You look over on the other side, the defense is going to try to do what the defense thinks they can do. It's now their turn. The prosecution's made a pretty good case. It wasn't a tough case to make. And they've made it. At this point, if you're the prosecution, it's just don't drop the ball, right? That's all you got to do. Just don't drop the ball. And now you've got to withstand whatever they're going to throw at you. What is that going to be? I don't know. But I've always thought that when it comes to this, their goal in the defense. And it's so funny. Like, people are like, I can't believe he gets a defense. And I'm like, are you not familiar with who we are and what we're about? Are you not familiar with any of this stuff? It's exactly why he should have a defense, because it is who we are. It's exactly what we're all about. How good is his defense? Well, that we'll find out. I don't know how good his defense will be. So far, the evidence has been pretty compelling. But when you've got a situation like the Dante Wright shooting, which just took place, and more than likely over the next 7 days or so, this case is going to go to the jury with Derek Chauvin and the George Floyd killing. This is a city on edge. It is a powder keg ready to blow. So it'll be very interesting to see what the defense can do, because you've got people that are angry, and now the defense is going to paint a different picture, and that's going to be about George Floyd, his character, who he was he on drugs? Could this have been an issue? You heard their doctor say his heart was better than any other heart he had ever seen. This doctor's going to come out and say, dude, his heart was a mess because he was on drugs. This is what they're going to do, because you're trying to do the best you can for your client. And that's going to make people upset. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose that shop, right? So you go and you choose the shop. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. And when I tell everybody, well, what's the best way? You call Car Shield up and you explain to them exactly what you're looking for. They got tiers, right? The plan starts as low as $99 a month. Some people want like a super massive package. They want to make sure that everything is protected, period, case closed, end of story. Other people are like, I'm not worried about this. I'm worried about this. I feel that this thing could run forever, but I do worry about some of the other things inside of the car, the air conditioning, the things like that. That's what Car Shield's all about. Pick, choose, do what's right for you and your car. Million drivers, Car Shield has helped. It's America's #1 auto protection company. Now is your chance. Sign up and save an extra 10% today. Call 800-665-2157. Use code Benson. Or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Helen Keller is a Nazi terrorist that is a male. Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Hitler?
Who's Hitler?
Vaccines work, but only the Chad Benson Show is 100% effective against stupidity.
Do you know what D-Day is? D-Day.
In person? A rapper? God, Karen, you are so stupid.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you find your favorite woke-free podcasts. This is the Chad Benson Show.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Justin Bieber eating his peaches again on top of the charts. His album Justice, once again #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart. It's the second time it's hit the top spot. It debuted in first 3 weeks ago, then dropped to second, and now back to first. And it's the first time a Bieber album has been #1 for more than a week since 2010. Demi Lovato's Dancing with the Devil, The Art of Starting Over, debuts in second. And last week's #1, Rod Wave's Soulfly, falls to third.
Guy's got talent. It's always funny when he's 27. So let's soak that up for a second, guys. He's 27 years old. He signed his first record deal in 2008. The following year, he released his first album. So just for a moment, think to yourself, wow, that's 11 years ago. He was 16 years old. And then everything changed. Like, that was insane to think about that. He's only 27. You ever do that? It's like, he's what? Like, he's 27? Yeah, he's 27. It's crazy. Kid's lived a lifetime. And he's got a ton of talent. He does. He's got a ton of talent. And has been pretty smart with his money, which is always nice, too. I mean, at first, you're first year, you're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Yeah, you're making $10 million a year. $20 million a year. People are handing you stuff. You're driving around in a Ferrari. You get a monkey. Why? Because I can. I don't know why. Why do I have credit cards? I don't know. Why are grown men saying, yes, Mr. Bieber, no, Mr. Bieber? I don't know. I'm 15. I'm always surprised that you've survived that long. But he does have a ton of talent. And he sang a song about his peaches in Georgia, which I'm sure they'll ask him to change it. Right? You can't do that. Speaking of changing it in the world of entertainment. So now Will Smith is decided that he is not going to be working in Georgia. Georgia is very, very, very entertainment friendly. A majority of movies are either made and or partially made or filmed all entirely in Georgia. And part of the reason is huge tax credits, massive tax credits, pretty good weather, massive tax credits. And they set up an infrastructure that Hollywood decided, hey, we can go down here. We can buy all this property. We can do all this stuff. And they're going to help us and saves us money.
Actor Will Smith and director Antoine Fuqua have pulled production of their slave drama Emancipation out of Georgia. The film is the largest and most high-profile Hollywood production to depart the state since Georgia's Republican-controlled legislature passed stiffer voting identification requirements, limited drop boxes, and gave the state election board new powers to intervene in county election offices. In a joint statement, Smith and Fuqua said, "We cannot in good conscience provide economic support to a government that enacts regressive voting laws that are designed to restrict voter access."
And Hollywood's been very quiet. And the reason's pretty simple. China. And they like money, too. It's interesting to see what happens from here. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The CDC and FDA just released a joint statement that is calling for a pause, an immediate pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose coronavirus vaccine. This is after 6 recipients in the United States developed a rare disorder involving blood clots within about 2 weeks of the vaccination. These adverse side effects are rare blood clotting in 6 women ages 18 to 48 out of 6.8 million doses administered.
Women ruin it again. I'm kidding. Settle down. Relax. I got the Johnson & Johnson. Well, if you're a guy, you're going to be okay. Again, I'm kidding. This is a precaution. That's it. You want to see what happened. It's not like they've administered. We gave out 12 and 6 people got sick. Millions upon millions upon millions of people have received Johnson & Johnson.
It's a very rare event. I mean, you're talking about 1 per million. And when you give millions of those vaccines, you will see events like this that you couldn't see in the clinical trial just because, you didn't have millions of people enrolled. So it probably is related. It's rare. But I want to congratulate the CDC and the FDA for very quickly jumping on it, halting the vaccinations until we know more, and really trying to understand what's going on. I think vaccine safety has always been a priority.
Yeah, and when you're trying to get people vaccinated and you already have enough people out there, so you've got what kind of people out there? You have several people as far as vaccinations. You have the people that'll take it because they're terrified and they think this is it. Oh, my God, but I get this. It's accrued. You have the other people out there who are hesitantly going to take it, thinks maybe this is a little bit overblown, but they're still going to do, what it is. You have some people out there who are like, I'm not taking this because it's mind control. And other people out there who are just straight anti-vaxxers. They're not taking it because they either think, hey, you know what, I'm healthy. My body's the greatest defense and weapon I have against this. And then you have the people that are cautious. I want to give it a while. Let's give it. It's a year. First of all, let's explain to everybody just a quick snapshot. Is this quick in modern times? Absolutely. Why? Because we live in a world of checks, balances, regulation, more checks, more balances, more regulation, more checks, more balances, more regulation. Hoops to jump through, more checks, more balances, more regulation. More checks, more balances, more checks being written. Regulation after regulation. We're the gold star, gold standard. Like you get the like, you know, you want the blue check mark and you want all, hey, you get those things like you people like, oh, that's something you mean. Maybe you're somebody. Our getting through our process when it comes to anything medically is huge, whether it's a certain treatment and a machine or indeed vaccinations. It's kind of the gold standard. Oh, yeah, they got the Americans' approval, right? Because they were like super regulated. We're not used to the time frame. We're not. In modern times, you're not used to something not being here a year ago, and then all of a sudden it's here when it comes to the medical world. It's one thing if it's technology, right? It's another thing when it's health. But both the mRNA, which is the Pfizer, Moderna, and all that stuff, and what Johnson & Johnson, these are proven treatments. They just put in different things. These are things that they've worked on for years. This isn't something they invented like April of last year and decided, okay, our first run's going to be on this. These are things that had been in place. They'd been working on for decades. Some of them, like the DNA thing that you see with Johnson & Johnson, it's been around forever. So this is a bump. It's all about the data, which is most important.
My sense is they're going to unpause, but they may not, or they may make it, more for certain types of people over others. We'll have to see. But this is, we want to make a data-driven decision, and this is how you do it.
Yeah. So when you've got almost 7 million shots administered and you've had 6 people that have had issues, you take a step back, you look and see exactly what this is all about. Is this a situation where it affects women only? Is this a situation where this just happened to be a coincidence? Were some of these people predisposed? Maybe they're on other medications that, coupled with this, caused them to have a reaction where there was blood. Those are things they're going to look at. I do think they'll unpause this sooner rather than later. I don't think this is like AstraZeneca, where it's not. It seems to be kind of everywhere that they've used it. So I think that will happen sooner rather than later. But you look at the data. Oh, but Chad, I got Johnson & Johnson. I did. I got Moderna. I went with the Moderna. I'm like, which one's the most expensive? Give me the top shelf. I didn't really. I just went in there like, I don't even know what you guys are giving me. I was kind of bummed because I thought, well, Johnson & Johnson's one shot. Right? You ever talk to people? Like we were talking about this yesterday. So Johnson & Johnson, the effectiveness of it is like 80%, 75, 68 over here for this strain, but about, in between like 75 and about 80%. And with Moderna and Pfizer, after one shot, you're in the upper 80s. And then you tell people, I don't think I'm going to get a second shot. Like if you would have just got Johnson & Johnson, they were cool with that. But because you say you're not going to get the second shot, people are like, oh, stupid, man. You're stupid. I was like, it's already more effective than the other one. Now you want me to drive somewhere? Do you not understand the word convenience? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text. Last night, more issues. Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, not far from where George Floyd was killed. The trial is going on right now. We move into another phase of the trial. While that's going on, you had what? You had an incident that took place a few days ago. Dante Wright was killed by police, shot after a traffic stop. He was pulled over for having an expired tag. He thought it was because of an air freshener. The police officer who shot him, and you can hear her screaming taser. She shot him, and Minnesota Chief Tim Gannon thinks it was accident.
This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
Yeah. Now, that's what the investigation is going to be for. We've seen the footage, and by the way, can we just say most police officer footage, like, we can't do better with the cameras at all. There's nothing we can do. Like, it's like it's like you're searching for Bigfoot. The cameras are grainy, and it's just it should be a little bit better. But was this an incident where she thought she was grabbing her taser after he tried to run because he knew he had a misdemeanor warrant? They got him out of the car. He then tried to get into his car, and in doing so, they were telling him to stop, and she was warning taser when she'd really grabbed a gun. Chief Gannon continues to reiterate that.
As I watched the video and listened to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet.
Yeah. Then he drove for several blocks and eventually came to like a little crash and stop, and that was it. And they worked, and you could hear her say, "Holy blank, I shot him." Does that mean anything? No, for a lot of people out there who are watching the George Floyd case, who are seeing the things that are going on, who every single day feel like that the police are out to get them, that means absolutely nothing. This is just now the new way for police to kill people, to say it was a mistake. And we ask a lot of our officers, right? Can you be perfect? Can you be perfect? Well, Chad, there's some places you can't have a bad day. You can't have a bad day being a pilot. No, you can't have a bad day being a pilot. You can't. But you know what else? I don't ask my pilot to be a marriage counselor, a drug counselor, fix the homeless problem, and fight with passengers while in midair. You know what I ask him to do? Fly the plane. Ma'am, could you just fly the plane? Fantastic. That's it. Yeah, you may come on some rough stuff, you know that, but you fly the plane. That's what we ask them to do. I don't know if this was a mistake. We're going to find out a lot about him. We're going to find out a lot about her. And over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, things are going to change. And this is not going to be one of those situations where last year on Memorial Day, all of the stuff really hit the fan with George Floyd. And then the next couple days, it really ramped up. And by Friday, there were charges. It isn't going to be that. It isn't. It isn't going to be that. Benjamin Crump is already there talking about the incident. Of course, Benjamin Crump, an attorney, and is kind of seen as the person now that families, in particular African-American families, go to. It's no longer the Sharptons of the world or the Jesse Jackson. It's Benjamin Crump, because he is an attorney, and he is, he has some real, weight to push around in this. And he looked at it and said,
she was a training officer. And so it's not about training. It's about implicit bias. It's about giving the same respect and consideration to people of color that we give to white American citizens.
So she's a training officer. And again, we're finding out more about her, but if a white guy would have run, would they have done the same thing? Yeah, I think so. Would we have heard about it? No. We wouldn't. And that's a lot of what the difference is in this. And you want to talk about bias, if a white guy would have been shot by the cops and there was nothing, would we have heard about it in the media? No. This was a bad incident. At this point, it looks like a mistake. They're going to do investigation. It's going to take much longer than what you saw with Derek Chauvin. In saying that, there are questions that we can ask in a lot of these things. What could we do better? How can we avoid something like this in the future? What happens when somebody takes off like this? These are things that we have to address and ask questions. And then he said,
they could have given him a ticket, given him a notice to show up.
But when you have a warrant, that's not really what they do. Does it happen? Yeah. There's just a lot that goes into this thing. And that's why we have these conversations. And we shouldn't be afraid to have these conversations. And in the world that we live in today, a lot of people get afraid to have conversations like this when it comes to race, police, and many other things. And we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. So let's take a look at it across the board. I think this was an accident. You look at something like Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, that's a different thing. This right here seems to be a mistake. A mistake that cost a man his life. And a mistake that she's going to have to live with. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text us. Love hearing from all of you. MyPillow. So I got my MyPillow. People say, "Oh, Chad, you got your MyPillow?" Yeah, I do. And they got semi slippers. These slippers are amazing. These are not like regular, like just cheesy like slippers. Like no, they're ridiculous. Like 3 layers, right? They got the gel and the memory foam and the patented fill, all the MyPillow stuff that's amazing. 3-tier cushioning, suede, slip-on, love them, made in the U.S., soybeans, right? That's what impacts the gel, so that's awesome. Just comfortable. And after going out and playing 18 holes of golf, my feet are on fire sometimes. I just want to throw these on and wander around, and that's what I do even here at work. Oh, 40% off right now. So what you do, limited time, 40% off. Go to mypillow.com, get your My Slippers. There's a listener square right there. You click on it, enter promo code Benson, or call 800-983-4975. Check out all the great things they have. Pillow, the mattress toppers, best thing around right there. And save 40% on the My Slippers. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a peek and see what's trending. Start first and foremost in the world of Google. J&J vaccine trending big time right now. Obviously, U.S. recommend a pause right now. Pause. Over concerns over blood clots. Over 7 million, almost 7 million vaccinations have been used. That's J&J. And 6 women have had blood clotting. 1 person has died. So they're recommending a pause. And the reason they're not saying because they're not going to be using it at the federal sites. So some places, some of the state sites and stuff like that, they won't be using it there. But other places like pharmacies may still have it. Knoxville shooting trended today and yesterday. Top of that, you had a Bad Bunny tour release. It's very interesting. Bad Bunny, of course, was in Wrestling Mania the other night. Going over to Twitter, and you find the usual stuff. J&J, Pfizer. On top of that, though, you have a venomous snake bite, San Diego Zoo. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Somebody was bitten by a snake, a venomous snake. What? Yeah. Condition of the person is unknown, but they have a lot of venomous snakes there. And as we all know, nature will mess you up, even if that is nature that you have. Yeah, because it's, bad. Some of these things, because they don't have anti-venoms. So you're just kind of mixing and matching. Then you've got the protest trending overnight, second night in a row. You had the medical examiner rule the fatal shooting of Daunte Wright by a police officer homicide. She apparently was a training officer, thought she was grabbing for her taser and shot him. And you've got this all the while you're in the middle of the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd case, which is getting closer to wrapping up. Not too far away from where this took place. Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular is on edge for sure. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Take a pause, a brief pause, gather some more data, make a plan, and then come back to the market.
Johnson & Johnson, they're recommending pausing it. We'll see exactly how long that pause is going to be. What exactly is going on? Is this an issue that with these blood clots that some of these people were potentially predisposed to blood clots and maybe there was something inside of the vaccine coupled with maybe medicine they took? But 6 women, one has died, and Johnson & Johnson has spoken about it.
Johnson & Johnson responding, saying in a statement, the safety and well-being of our people who use our products is our number one priority. At present, no clear causal relationship has been established between these rare events and the vaccine.
And they are rare events. Let's not pretend that it's not a rare event. There's almost 7 million doses administered of Johnson & Johnson and 6 people. So it's like 1 in a million. At this moment in time, you just take a step back and you say, okay, is there something here that people who've all taken it should be worried about? Or is this just a situation where it was a coincidence? But you have the market struggling today. You have people worried now. Is this a step backwards with Johnson & Johnson not being there, which, by the way, was becoming the preferred, I guess, vaccination thing to get because it was becoming that way because it was a one-shotter. Right? So people go, yeah, one shot. That sounds great. Convenient. Plus, for a lot of people who are worried, it was older technology, DNA, compared to the new with Moderna and Pfizer, which was the mRNA, which is different comparatively to this. So we'll see. It's very interesting. But that causes people to start to think, and then they overthink, and then they panic, and people start looking and say, "Oh my God, this is another situation where we're going to be screwed." No, take a deep breath. It is a situation that they're going to look at. And that's all it is. Because somebody tweeted at me a little while ago, what's this mean for me? I got Johnson & Johnson. It means you're going to be fine. Right? 6 million people have taken this. It's like 6.8. By the time, all said and done, it'll be 7 million. There's only 6 people that have had issues. So when you look at the numbers, when you break down the numbers, somebody sent me the numbers a little while ago, and it was 0.00008,741% of less than 1%. I mean, that's the kind of numbers you're dealing with. But we also live in a litigious society, so everybody steps back and says, hold on a second, the lawyers are going to get involved here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. While all of this is going on, you've got what's taking place in Minnesota, where the world is looking out there, thinking to themselves, what's going to happen in Minneapolis? Is this going to be a situation where we're going to see more riots and looting? You had the Dante Wright shooting the other day, and then you put that with the fact that the city's on edge because right now the trial is going on of former officer Derek Chauvin and the death of George Floyd, which he is trying to defend himself from, facing second, third, and involuntary manslaughter charges. It is potentially a powder keg, and overnight there was more rioting, looting. The police chief understands people have a right to have their voices heard in saying that
peaceful protesting expressing yourself, we fully support that. But the ravaging of our businesses, the looting of our stores, the destruction to our pharmacies, we cannot tolerate that.
No. That doesn't do anybody any good, right? That does nobody any good. Going there and destroying things does no good. Showing up and being angry and then breaking things, lighting things on fire, destroying people's lives and property does nothing. And then people look and say, well, see what happens here? See what's going on here? See what's happening here? And that's not what we want. Want to find out what took place? Was it a mistake? Was it really just a mistake? Or were there other factors in this? All of those questions will be answered, but they're not going to be answered today. And when you have a city that is ready right now because they're feeling like, there's always that sense that, something could go wrong, right? Like Saturday Night Live over the weekend kind of made fun of the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trail. Not so much mocking the incident itself, because that's not what they did. But what they did do was kind of poke fun at the fact that this is what people are expecting. Yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, he's all these things. But
I thought the prosecution did an excellent job questioning the medical examiners.
Mm-hmm.
Sure did.
Yep. Yeah, but the video footage alone should tell you everything you need to know about what happened.
100%. No doubt about it.
Okay, and hopefully justice will be served. That'd be nice.
God willing. Sounds like we all agree there's no way Derek Chauvin walks away from this. I ain't gonna say all that.
Well, because people are waiting for that. They're waiting for the not guilty. They're waiting for guilty of manslaughter, time served. They're waiting for that part where they feel like justice isn't served because they've seen it, 1,000 times over. That's the way they're feeling. And that's understandable. And then you couple this with the shooting, and it just feels like it's ready to blow. And then you go out and you break things, burn things down, loot, riot. It's not a good situation. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. And it's like one of those things where you ask yourself, was this a perfect storm? And what you get is two sides of stuff. People that will defend the cops and by the way, most cops will not defend every action a police officer makes. There are a few out there that will, but you know that and I know that. Real common sense people in a world of ignorance, it's common is not really common, should be uncommon sense people. They won't. They look at Derek Chauvin and what took place here, completely different. Completely different. And then you'll get the people out there say, well, he shouldn't have run. If he wouldn't have run, this wouldn't have happened. If he wouldn't have run and he wouldn't have tried to escape, none of this stuff has happened. That's a fair argument to make. Absolutely is a fair argument to make. 100%. But in saying that, people will also say, hey, I feel like, though, that everything that's on TV is young black men getting shot by police officers. That's what they see when it comes to the police. More often than not, the headlines are always about a white officer that shoots a black man. And in their mind, because it's been built up for a long time, this is what takes place. I don't know the officer. Apparently she's a training officer. Said she was reaching for her taser. Grabbed a gun. He was trying to run. Don't do that. I think everybody should know that right now. Don't do that. Don't do it. Was it a mistake? We'll find out. That's going to take time. By all accounts, it feels and looks like it's a mistake. But when you're in a situation right now where would we be looking at this different if there wasn't a George Floyd incident? We might be. But right now, people in Minneapolis, especially people of color, they're feeling like this is just another incident. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you guys. You love, you hate, all of that kind of stuff that's thrown out there because you know there's plenty of it. I'm always surprised. This is a perfect example. Last night, so BLM, you guys don't know what BLM is? Black Lives Matter. One of the co-founders, who was the Marxist, and she's kind of denied some of that stuff. She said she was a trained Marxist, but she came out, Patrisse Cullors, and people are asking, well, how is it that you have $3.2 million in property? You just bought a $1.5 million home and a little enclave, as they would say, out there in Los Angeles, and you've got property at a few other places in Georgia and a couple other places, and how is this? And I laughed because, if you're a Marxist, by the way, property is not yours if you're a Marxist. That's not the big thing that they were excited about. And I posted it, and some people posted stuff about her, and it was taken down immediately as if they were lying. But no, it's all true. She's got this. And people are like, well, she's making money. Like, first of all, don't defend her, right? Like, white people stop defending. People of color don't need to be defended, all right? Just let them. I know you think you're doing good, right? But I don't care what she does. I know they raised $90 million last year, Black Lives Matter. George Floyd incident was bad for George, but it was good for Black Lives Matter. Oh, Chad. Well, you're right, but still. She does speech engagement. She wrote a book. I'm like, that's great. That's capitalism. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, what did she do? She moved on up. That's what she did. I don't care that she moved on up. Good for her. First thing she did is like, I need a new house. I need 3. That's capitalism. This Marxist stuff seems kind of stupid. That's what I was pointing out. People get mad like I'm trying to, oh, my God. No, other people inside of the organization are questioning it. Hawk Newsom, who runs Black Lives Matter out there in New York and stuff, he's come out and he's like, we need to have investigation and all this stuff. I mean, look, if she dipped her, fingers into the kitty, if you will, and took some of that money out that wasn't supposed to be, well, then, yeah, there's an investigation. But if she's making tons of money with speech engagement, stuff like that, and she wants to spend it, great for her. There's zero problems with that. Never had. I just think it's funny in the way that people react. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, she's still a capitalist. You can Marx this up all you want, but you're still a capitalist, right? You want to have nice things. You want to have nice things that the government did give you. People are going, but she's supposed to be a socialist. Well, she may be. But what's the first thing she did? She moved on out. She did. By the way, where she moved to, not very diverse. Let's just put it that way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. They do a lot of amazing things. We talk about it. They go out there lobbying on your behalf and America's behalf for things that they really, truly care about. Things like First Amendment rights, the cancel culture, Second Amendment right. But on top of that, they're also out there working across both sides of the aisle, trying to come up with common sense immigration reform and trying to protect Social Security and Medicare, making sure it's there. And they offer tons of benefits. I mean, everything you can think of benefit-wise, they offer, from retail to restaurants, hotels, travel discounts. Your benefits are across the board. It is just awesome. It really is. And life insurance, right? Dental care, cell phone coverage, emergency assistance, home insurance, prescription discount, you name it, they offer it. Now's your chance to join. It's less than $16 a year, pennies a day. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, man!
Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Speaking of fat and sassy, the age-old question, is a hot dog a sandwich? A hot dog versus sandwich. I love a sandwich and love a hot dog. If you guys are new to the show, thanks so much for paying attention to our little dog and pony show and the Chad Benson Show. You know, just reach out to us in a myriad of ways. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, your Instagram, and you can text me directly, 323-538-2423. But I eat like a 5-year-old. And that's pretty good, you know. I mean, maybe a 7-year-old at times. I'm expanding. I'm like, maybe I'll have a carrot, but I need ranch. But the hot dog sandwich debate.
A hot dog is absolutely not a sandwich. Let me tell you why. For starters, here's the definition of a sandwich. Do you see where it says 2 or more slices of bread? Hot dog bun is just a split roll. A split roll is not 2 or more slices. Not a sandwich.
Okay. Interesting. Now, for those of you who grew up maybe in a situation where you didn't have a lot of money, you did at times have hot dogs, but you didn't have buns. They were expensive. Mom, tell you, just wrap your sandwich, wrap your sandwich bread around it. Oh, that was me, for sure. So, it's just a bun, right, which is a roll cut in half.
If that's not enough, let's dive into the history books. Hot dog can be called a few different names, like a Frank, a Frankfurter, or a Wiener. Frankfurt, Germany claims that the first Frankfurter was invented in 1484. This is John Montagu. Montagu was the 4th Earl of Sandwich in England and came up with the bread and clothes convenience food we know today. However, Montagu's invention came almost 3 centuries after the first Frankfurter was served in Frankfurt. Not a sandwich.
Not a sandwich. Is a hot dog a sandwich? I know this. It's delicious. On Friday, I had a chili dog, and it was amazing. I don't care what you call it. I call it delicious. But it's got to be the right hot dog. I think we can all agree. It's got to be the right hot dog. I'm a Hebrew National. Love Hebrew National. Make great. The beef dogs are always the best. And the sandwiches, again, I had a sandwich the other night. I had Kodo salami, right? A little bit of cheese. Either way, both of them got it right. And at the end of the day, in life, that's what matters. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I do love hearing from all of you. Could he be the next president of the United States of America?
Rock. We're wrestlers as well, actually.
We're actually doing the tryouts today.
Oh, cool. What advice would you give us? What are your names again?
My name.
It doesn't matter what your names are. You walk around here interrupting the rock, you like you haven't seen the sun in 20 years. You like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more advice, sir? You want some advice? Here's the Rock's advice. Shut your mouth. What you want. How about what the Rock wants? The Rock wants you to go out there, take no prisoners, have no regrets, have no fear. Lay it all out on the line. How about what the Rock wants?
Got to be honest. If that was him in a debate, I'd be like, I'm voting for that guy. I don't care what you want. I'm going to crush your soul. Just go over there and just pick somebody up and slam him down. Like, that's my president. And then we would officially become idiocracy. In saying that, he has hinted at past that he would think about running for president. And the polls show that people would be interested in him. And he said that, you know what? If the people want it, Rock would drop the people's elbow. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We haven't heard Johnson & Johnson, which has already administered 7 million doses to people here in the United States of America, is essentially getting put on pause. Incidents that have took place that have some people asking about, is this safe? I said 7 million. So you're thinking to yourself, my God, how many people is it? Is it 500,000 people? 1 dead, 1 critical, 6 people in total. So single dose, as we all know. The clots usually start, as they're saying, somewhere between 6 to 13 days after the vaccinations. All 6 cases were women. Appears to be similar to rare, usual type of clotting disorder that European authorities say is possibly linked to AstraZeneca, which, by the way, is not clear here. And here we are.
It's really important to note this type of blood clot was seen in combination with low levels of blood platelets, and the treatment of this specific type of blood clot is different from the treatment that might typically be administered.
Yeah, very rare. I don't think it's time to panic, but we live in a world of knee-jerk reaction, so the market's on edge. Why? You're seeing some places have a rise in COVID cases, which is causing people to think that we're headed for another shutdown. I think you need to take a step back and say to ourselves, let's just see what is going to come from all of this. It's more of a pause. It's not, nope, sorry, we're not going to do this. We can't do this anymore. It's just whoa. Let's take a look.
I believe the J&J vaccine is exceedingly safe. These are very rare events, but we don't know if they're linked to the vaccine, and we don't know if there are other cases out there that we've missed.
Dr. Jha right there. So we'll figure it out. Low platelets were these people that were already in situations where there was a potential for clotting. Were they in a situation where they were on something, and you couple that with this and the mixture of the two, could that have caused something? Or was this just a coincidence? That is a possibility. That is a possibility. But when you're dealing with a world right now that has been turned upside down in the last 18 months, starting with what took place in China, then from there the spreading to Italy, and then throughout Europe, and then eventually here, and then lo and behold, here we are, 16 months into it landing on our shores, essentially. We're starting to come out of it. We're starting to feel like there is a new day, right? Like sporting events, right? It's past weekend. Granted, it's Florida, so, take it for what it's worth. Love me some Florida, don't get me wrong. But full house for WrestleMania. Texas, wide open. Sporting events, movies. People are starting to feel like, hey, we're getting back out there. We're starting to live a life. This kind of thing makes people go, uh-oh. Not only is there a pause in the vaccine, for a lot of people, there's a pause altogether. So we'll see. I don't feel that it's going to be anything big. I think they're going to look and find out that it is safe and that maybe this is just an incident that took place. Could be coincidence, but we don't know. But that's just my sense. I texted a couple doctors this morning, and both of them are like, this is, you're going to find some stuff like this. Right? You're going to find some things like this. You think about 7 million people that have gotten the shot, and only one person's died. And it's a blood clot, and we don't know if it's related. But there's only 7 people that they're looking at this point in time. And what do they want to do is they want to go and check and make sure that out of all those 7 million, has this happened on numerous occasions? We just didn't know about it. Or is this just really a one-off? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program with all the things that are going on in Minneapolis, including the fact that last night there was more rioting, more looting after the protests from the shooting of Duane Wright, where the officer, looks to be a training officer, thought she was pulling her taser, instead pulled a gun after a traffic stop with him having expired tags, and then he tried to flee. And from there, you had what looks to be a tragic incident. You couple that with the fact that, yes, we're in a situation where we're in the midst of a trial that the world is watching with Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. It is really, people are just feeling it. Last night, again, another night of people pissed and upset.
Trash, bottles of water, glass littered everywhere. You can probably hear the street sweepers making their way through, trying to clean up this mess. Also, last night across the city, law enforcement and the Minnesota National Guard were spread out across this area trying to protect businesses, some of them looted.
Yeah, some of them looted, some of them destroyed. Once again, another night where people just turn and to say, hey, you know what? I'm so upset. I think I should have every right to go in and steal whatever I want or destroy this person's business. And we saw that throughout the summer. And in some places, it has never stopped. Portland, we really count you because you seem to be always on fire. But this is, this shooting took place like 2 miles plus from where George Floyd was killed. 2 miles away. And the case is moving its way through rather rapidly. The defense is going to start because the prosecution is rested.
The big thing we're expecting is for the prosecution, the state, to finish presenting its case in this Chauvin trial. At that point, the defense will start calling its witnesses. They hope to call Maurice Hall, the man who was inside the car with George Floyd that Memorial Day. But Hall has indicated he intends to plead the Fifth Amendment.
Which he's already done once before, doesn't want to incriminate himself in anything like that. So we'll see exactly what is going to take place and what the defense has. So far, it's definitely been a situation where the video speaks a lot, but at the end of the prosecution's entire case that they laid out, it's still that video that's most compelling. And as we all know, witnesses aren't always great. You ask police officers, you ask, defense attorneys and prosecutors that too often than not, the stories change. You don't quite remember what it was. You saw it from a different angle. You got there 30 seconds after something took place. All of those things, that's why the video itself is so compelling. So now they'll have their chance to make, well, hopefully what they see is a real defense around that video, which is going to be tough. And that defense will, I've always thought, and the legal experts I've talked to, Monica Lindstrom, she's a legal expert and that's on, court TV and stuff. And I was just texting with her a little while ago. Her and I were chatting, and the whole thought process is really, is it about, can you get manslaughter? Because the chances of getting not guilty, unless there's just something so outrageous we have not seen, chances of that happening, that ship has sailed. It's, can you get manslaughter or third degree? So we'll see what the defense has in store. We will. And with that being said, what's it like right now in Minneapolis? I mean, that place is potentially could explode. It could. I mean, it is. And you go back and you look at what took place. I mean, first of all, last year was just surreal anyways. But think of how George Floyd and how this entire thing took place. Memorial Day, within a few days after the video had come out and the world had watched in horror, they had fired the officers, arrested the officers, charged the officers, which you never get, like what took place with Dwayne Wright the other day. That is going to be an investigation that's going to last a while. It is not going to be, hey, they're going to have him arrested by Friday. That's not going to happen. But then you saw the protests, and the protests turned to anger, and it spread throughout the country. And you saw the chaos, and then the rioting, the looting, people getting killed. Yeah, let's not forget that, all in the name of George Floyd. People getting shot, people taking over city blocks. Let's not forget the Chaz and the Chop. It was just the summer of love. So we'll see. We'll see. And that's got to be weighing. If you're a juror, too, you're sitting there, right? You're thinking to yourself, I'm not saying he's not guilty of something, but I feel like I got to go big because I feel like our city could burn. You're a human being. That's playing on your mind, right? These aren't aliens from a different planet. These aren't people they brought in from a different part of the country to say, hey, will you guys do this because you really don't have any, if you will, skin in the game. So this will be interesting. And human beings will make decisions based on certain things, and that has to be playing in people's minds. No matter what anybody says, that has to be playing on some people's minds. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Masterclass. Sounds so like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. So what is it? Masterclass. You guys heard me talk about it before. I use Masterclass. Essentially, it's the world's masters of their art. Of whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's television, movies, whether it's poker or chess, whether it's art or cooking, they are the masters of these things. And what they do is teach you simple lessons. So you sign up for Masterclass, and I'm talking about like Tony Hawk will teach you how to skateboard. Will teach you the ins and outs, right? Serena Williams teach you about tennis. Shonda Rhimes about writing for television, things of that nature. So you go on there. It's about 20 lessons per class, 10 minutes per lesson. So it's awesome. You do it at your own pace. You get sucked in. Your computer, your TV, your smart TV, your tablet, all those things. And I'm telling you guys right now, there's workbooks, there's all of these things. It is amazing. Shot in high resolution, looks like a movie. And you're learning from the best. That's what I want you to do. Try it. I highly recommend it, right? And especially right now, got some downtime thinking, maybe I'd like to turn my hobby into something. I'd like to learn more about it from the best. You're going to get unlimited access to every masterclass, right? Just for being a Chad Benson Show listener. 15% off your first year annual membership, and it's so cheap. Go to masterclass.com/Benson, 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 Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Iran. Of course, they're vowing revenge because that's what they do. They're enriching their uranium. They're turning up the heat. So if you guys didn't know, over the weekend, essentially, Israel allegedly did what Israel does.
More details of Israel's alleged brazen attack on Iran's top nuclear facility coming to light here in the local press. Citing unnamed intel sources, Israeli media reporting the explosion went off at 4 a.m. Iranian local time, forcing 1,000 employees to flee. It destroyed not only the main electrical station located deep underground, but also cables leading to the backup generators. Iranian officials have confirmed that detail, but Tehran is disputing Israeli reports here that advanced centrifuges were damaged.
Israel. When I first heard it, I'm like, yeah, Israel did that. No, they did. And let me tell you who knew about it. Us and Saudi Arabia. Almost guarantee. Maybe the Brits, but us and Saudi Arabia, 100%. Absolutely. Why? Set them back. That's what it's about, right? They're continuing to push forward. Things are not going great with any kind of negotiation / whatever is supposed to happen. Again, after Trump got out of that ridiculous nuclear agreement. So we'll see what takes place. We'll see. But you knew the minute it happened, I'm like, oh my God, Israel totally did that. 100%. Of course they did. Why wouldn't you? The worst thing in that region, hell, for part of the world, if not the globe entirely, geopolitically at least, is if Iran got a nuclear weapon. If Iran got a nuclear weapon and produced their own nuclear weapon, and they got it, that entire region, which is already unstable, usually at its best, is completely unstabilized. Already the largest state sponsor of terror, they would what? Dominate the region? No. Why? Because we'd have to go in there and make sure that everybody around them has nuclear weapons. Or at least strategically place certain things. Why? Because you can't let them dominate like that. They will dominate that region. They already do. Iraq's a hot mess. Probably a little bit of our fault. So you got that. Which was, at the end of the day, we used to like the fact that we get Iran and Iraq to fight all the time. Hey, they called your mom a bad name. It's like, hey, they think your sister's fat. And then they'd start, But then you move away from that and you start looking around the region. Israel would absolutely be terrified. So would the Saudis. Because they understand how they could destabilize the region. So you just have to look up there and say, all right, what are we going to do about this for real? There's not a lot. At the end of the day, they're going to want to try to get one. They're probably going to do it. Who do they hang out with? They hang out with the Chinese a little bit, but they hang out with the North Koreans a lot of it, and they hang out with the Russians. They're going to get to the point where they probably have a nuclear weapon. It's just what is the world's reaction to that? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Let's talk a little bit about infrastructure, right? Because that's a big thing, for what's going on at the border. And I was really paying attention media-wise, not too much. But the infrastructure thing, that's something bipartisan that we should be able to agree with. But when you pour as much money into everything else that we have done over the last several months, can we afford infrastructure in the way that Biden wants to do it? I'm going to touch on that. More on Johnson & Johnson getting put in timeout. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
That right there is the chief, Tim Gannon. Here's a guy who is watching his city right now brace for what could potentially be an explosive situation with the trial of Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. And I'm going to say this, not a soothsayer, just somebody who tries to predict every once in a while. I have a feeling no matter what takes place, there's going to be some issues. But then you throw in Daunte Wright. Pulled over by the police, expired tags, and he gets out of the car after they asked him, because they run him, if you will. That's what they do. They take your license, they run you. He's got an outstanding warrant for, it's a misdemeanor, I think, for a gun violation. He tries to get in the car, tries to flee, and this happens. She shot him. She, the officer. She shot him. She thought she was going for her taser.
As I watched the video and listened to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet.
He went on for several blocks before eventually crashing, and he died overnight, Monday to Tuesday, Sunday into Monday, and then Monday, last night, there's been rioting, some looting. People are upset. They're pissed. They're angry. They want answers as to what happened. And you've got this all the while. What's taking place? The prosecution's rested. The defense has its chance now in the Derek Chauvin trial. This took place not 2+ miles away from where, I guess, George Floyd was killed. And the officer, we start. So what do? We're like, oh, what's the officer? Okay, is it a white officer? Oh, it's a woman. Whoa. So is it rookie?
She was a training officer. And so it's not about training. It's about implicit bias. It's about giving the same respect and consideration to people of color that we give to white American citizens.
Benjamin Crump right there. And that's going to be the debate that goes on. Was this strictly a black-white thing? Or was this somebody who had a warrant out? The police were going to make the call to take him into custody. When he fled, he did. And then the shooting happened. This is going to take time to suss out. There's going to be civil lawsuits. There's all kinds of things that are going to go on around this. But it's just a very tense situation. And in a place right now where we have issues. Let's be real. Race, it's a tough thing to talk about race in this country. Not because it's a tough thing to talk about, because people in the powers that be that want to get involved too often than not are always willing to threaten people, throw around their weight. And it's sad. It's a sad situation that we can't have real discussions. Why did you run? What was it that was going to take place that caused you to run? What were you afraid of? The questions that we should be asking. Because we could sit here and, it's his fault he tried to run, or the officers, they have implicit bias and they just don't like people of color. Let's have a real conversation. We don't do those things anymore. We don't have real conversations. Not in this country. Because too many people, the powers that be, like the fact that we're divided on a lot of things. Because if we all woke up and got out of the spell of this, we'd go, what the hell are these idiots doing in charge? The media enjoys the fact that there's stuff to talk about, especially now, because they're searching for things to talk about. Because if they didn't have the coronavirus, think about this. If you're the media and you don't have the coronavirus, right? And you don't have something like this, or say the Derek Chauvin trial, what do you think they're talking about? You think they're talking about immigration? You think they're talking about infrastructure? Probably not. They may be, but do you think anybody's paying attention? No, probably not. Probably not. I think what they're doing as they've done for a very long time. It's a pick and choose world. Somebody asked me, why aren't you covering the Matt Gaetz thing? This guy's a scumbag. I said, well, first of all, I've hammered Matt Gaetz on 1,000 times on the show, and partly because I spent some time with him, and I'm going to give a hard pass. Just not a fan, right? Do I know that he's done anything wrong? Things are, pointing in that direction, but you have to let everything play itself out. But I told the person, I said, look, the average person doesn't care. They can't pick Matt Gaetz out of a lineup. I said, the right screams, why didn't people cover the Hunter Biden thing? So the Hunter Biden thing was different. First of all, he's not an elected official, but he was trying to use his dad's elected official position potentially to influence things. Okay, that's fair. But I said the thing that scares me most about that is the fact that the media is like, it's not real, it's fake. Everything's fake. It's not fake. None of that's real. It's all fake. And then you find out, it's not fake. And to even broach the subject, you could get in trouble. I mean, the New York Post got shut down on Twitter. The New York Post. It's fake news. It's Russian. It's all lies. How do you know? Because we know. Those things, not the people, but the actual stories being blocked or shown are what people should pay attention to. Not who the players are anymore. Perfect example is yesterday. Shooting in Tennessee at a high school. What are the people waiting for? What's the body count? What kind of gun? Is it a handgun? Was it a gang situation? Was it an upset teenager over like a forlorn love that's lost? I mean, what was it? Because if there's not a body count and there's not a story that can be made, especially in activism journalism, a lot of times people aren't going to pay that much attention. They aren't. And by people, I mean media. And as quick as it started, well, there's a shooting in Knoxville. Slowly but surely it dissipated. Because if there's not a story there, or it's a story that people don't like, you see where the coverage goes. It's the reality of it. And we even talked about it yesterday, and I'll let you guys in on something. We looked around and we said, we were watching to see what took place. And I hate speculating and stuff like that. It's the other thing. I think too many people want to speculate. Oh, my God, it could be. And because we live in a world of speculation. It's not, it's about being first. It's not about being right. And I'm like, let's just see what takes place because it could be nothing. And while somebody died and an officer was shot, and the way at first it came out is people were bracing themselves for something, but as quickly as it came, it went. The media, it's crazy. It is. And I'm in that business, and I try to be as straightforward as possible. Right? I give you guys the skinny. I tear back the curtain and let you in on stuff. But it is funny the way that things go and how it gets played out. And right now the media is searching high and low to find something they can sink their teeth into. Because it's as much about dividing, because with the division comes emotion, with emotion comes viewers, likes, tweets, shares, dollar bills. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of dollar bills, infrastructure?
American Jobs Plan, this is the biggest investment in American jobs since World War II. But I think it's important to demystify the kinds of jobs that this plan is going to create. They are not mysterious or overly futuristic. We are going to need workers who are good with steel to make the cars and trucks of the future. Building retrofits that are going to require union carpenters and insulators, painters and electrical workers, plumbers and pipe fitters are going to be a huge part of the story. So this is a jobs plan that is building America's economy from the middle class out.
That's Secretary Buttigieg talking about infrastructure jobs. A lot of people are talking about it. Remember, this is going to create millions upon millions of jobs.
All of you in the Biden administration have been selling this plan as a huge jobs creator.
It's going to create 19 million jobs.
But it turns out the economy will add 16.3 million jobs without the infrastructure bill and 2.7 million more with it. So it doesn't, as you said last Sunday, create 19 million jobs. Secretary Buttigieg, why mislead folks?
It's a fair question. Wasn't the only person to ask him that, because that's not the reality. Reality is without infrastructure, we're still going to have almost 17 million jobs. Right? Without it. But remember, this is the Biden administration. Infrastructure is a big deal, usually a bipartisan thing. And this is something, a lot of people read a great article from MIT the other day that we may be on our way into the sixth wave. The sixth wave when it comes to, basically going from the mechanized world all the way up through the digital age, and now could be the green age, and the opportunity over the next, well, as they put it, 39 years to blossom and to grow into something. That's absolutely something very real, but you've got to also politic it up.
House progressives are now calling for you to include a path to citizenship for dreamers in the legislation. Again, I understand this is a principle you think is worth fighting for. Is that infrastructure?
Well, that's not in the plan that we've put forward. Of course, we need to support dreamers. That's important as a policy matter in this country. We can't do nothing. We can't wait any longer.
Are you ruling out including a path to citizenship for dreamers in the infrastructure bill?
We're hearing a lot of ideas. I think you'll find the president is ready to listen to these ideas.
So I'll interpret that as your mind is open.
Yeah, do that. Okay, your mind is open. All sounds great. By the way, you're not going to do that, and I'll tell you why. Putting something like that in there, in something that is already going to be extremely expensive, that there's going to be a massive battle, and one of the reasons the battle is going to be so big is because we're continually spending money on COVID by what? Giving people checks, increasing unemployment, things of that nature that are going on. I'll post this picture. There's a McDonald's that was closed the other day. And they said, sorry for the inconvenience. We can't find anybody who wants to work anymore. And you're like, wow. So the reality is this is already going to be contentious. Putting something like that on there is nuts. It really is. And there's a lot. And we're going to be discussing more and more because to me, these things are vitally important. Infrastructure is things we should get behind. We have way too many issues with some of our really important assets, as well as the day-to-day things we use that we need to repair, fix, modernize. But we're spending a ton of money already. And the more we print, the more debt we go into, the more there's a worry that we could see inflation. And that comes back on the consumer because your dollar doesn't go as far. Those are things we need to watch out for. In a pandemic, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Rough Greens, give it to my dog Doodle. I tell you guys that all the time. Also give it to my tortoise. He loves it. And I give it to, yes, even Winston, my big lizard. Sprinkle on top of his food. He eats it all up. It's hilarious. But my dogs love it. And you just have to look at Doodle. But I've given it to a few friends of mine who've got big dogs, including my family. And if you've ever had big dogs, you guys know big dogs, there's a shelf life. And their joints start to hurt more. And their body breaks down quicker. Anything you can do to give them a better, long-lasting life is amazing. My friend Pablo here, he's got a big dog. And he's like, does that stuff really work? I said, absolutely. So I gave it to him. And his dog's older. And he says, my dog's on, I'm thinking not very long. And lo and behold, it's about 8 months later. And his dog and him go on walks. They're running. They're happier than they've ever been. He said the last couple of years has been a real tough thing. Probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, vegetables, vitamins, minerals. That's what's in K9, VitaSmart from Rough Greens. Give it to your dog. Put them to the test. They're going to ship you a bag for free, right? So they're not going to charge you for the bag. You pay for shipping. You try it. Put their money where their mouth is. That's what they're doing. Try it now. Roughgreens.com/Chad, RUFFgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77, Rough Greens. Make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverence? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
But instead of coming up with a better bill, Democrats have decided it's the English language that has to change. They're embarking on an Orwellian campaign to convince everybody that any government policy whatsoever can be labeled infrastructure.
Mitch McConnell talking about infrastructure. Yeah, of course. It's like we talked about when they have these bills they roll out. We always go back to, save the penguins. They'll be like, it's $1 trillion. I'm like, to save penguins? Are you what? And then you look at the bill and he's like, it's $3 million go to saving the penguins. But the other 900 billion plus go to all the other things that are out there. But then you're like, I can't vote for that. I was like, because you hate penguins. It's like, totally. It's because I hate penguins. And you have to look at these things. What's in it? How much is real? And how much of it is spending for the sake of spending?
Less than 6% of this proposal goes to roads and bridges. It's not remotely targeted toward what Americans think they're getting when politicians campaign on infrastructure.
Yeah. It's like, isn't that what we want? Like, okay, but that's part of the problem. Like, we've always said this for years. It's a spending problem. Right? America has a spending problem. Much like with food, we have a consumptions problem. We consume too much. We have enough, and we could consume better, but we consume too much. And that's what ends up happening. We make poor choices. That's the frustration people have with government. And the infrastructure thing, we'll see how far along that gets. But when you start adding things like potentially a pathway to citizenship for dreamers and other stuff, you complicate something that's already complicated, which shows me you're not the sharpest. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet about it. Text the program. Again, Johnson & Johnson in timeout. 6 women have come down with blood clots. One has died. Another one is in the hospital. Is this a coincidence or is this something bigger? It's going to be very interesting to follow along with this. But right now, the U.S. government and the FDA and everything has said maybe we should pause Johnson & Johnson, at least temporarily, while we take a peek. So this will be very interesting. And the defense is up next in the George Chauvin case as the prosecution is arrested. Lots of stuff happening, kids. It's a Tuesday, too. That's only a Tuesday. You guys have a blessed rest of your day or evening. We'll do it again tomorrow. Get some tacos. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.